Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals, and today I have a Journal With Me episode working in my art junk journal. It's a bit of a mix of everything, and I have a whole bunch of fun goodies in front of me. These all come from my favourite podcast, Psychology in Seattle. If you followed my channel for a while, you know I talk about them quite a lot. I love shouting them from the rooftops. This is my patron mug. I love being a patron of theirs, and for a previous live anniversary show that they did, I played their game and won this mug that has their catchphrase, "Take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do." They say that at the end of every episode, and I love it. And then, I won that 2 years ago when I entered that game. And then this year, I entered the game again. Last year I had a break. I thought I'd give other people a chance to win, and last year I had the privilege of my questions being part of the game that year. And this is my enamel pin from, I think it was Becoming a Patron. I got that pin for that, and I love it. It goes on my Delphonics pouch, where you can see I've got a whole bunch of other pins that they all have sentimental meaning for me. But I entered the game again this year because they didn't get enough winners last year, and I was like, oh, I should have entered. And also because when I won the first year that I won, I didn't get the swag that they said they would send, the stickers and the pin, and so I wasn't sure if it got lost in the mail. So I thought, I really want that swag. I love their stickers, and I really wanted another pin because I want one not just on my Delphonics pouch, but on my bag. So I have a backpack that I take everywhere. I don't use a handbag or anything, or I don't take a giant wallet. I've got a little wallet that I put in my big backpack, and my backpack carries everything whenever I go anywhere. So my backpack pretty much looks like my Delphonics pouch. It's kind of got that same blue kind of denim colour. And I thought, I want a matching pin for my bag, and that way I can take them wherever I go, and it might be a good conversation starter. Anyway, so I got all of this in the mail, the pin, the stickers, and this handwritten note from Kirk, this card. Oh my goodness, I opened it live in a live yesterday, and I wasn't expecting to get the mail. I just saw the mail and I was like, oh, let's just open this. And I almost cried. My eyes were watering because I was just like, oh my goodness, a handwritten note. There's something about handwriting that is just so special. And this podcast, and of course Kirk in particular, who's the main host of the podcast, have just meant so much to me. They came into my life at the right time. I call it a God thing. I feel like God just put them into my life at exactly the right time when I needed them to help me identify some things that I needed to work on, that I maybe didn't know I needed to work on, and they helped me reach out for support and just go on that healing journey through that. So thankful at a time when I needed it, and they still continue to teach me, challenge me, help me know more about it myself, have greater empathy and compassion for both myself and others, and that is such a good thing in the world to have. So I'm always talking about how I love, the unexamined life is not worth living, and the closest mind that you can get to know is your own mind, of course. So I start there, but I don't want to end there. I want to know other people's minds, and just I think people are just so fascinating. I love psychology, and I'm just so thankful for this podcast that teaches me about so many different theories about psychology and the therapeutic process, and it's just amazing. Can't rave about it enough. And I love just the anecdotes and the stories that they share, and the humor, and it's just entertaining, and it's witty and so informative and intelligent, and full of compassion and empathy too, which I absolutely love. Berto is my favourite co-host. My favourite episodes are the ones where he is on them, and I just love the way they can riff and go back and forth, and all that they bring. Their dynamic is amazing, and I just love Berto's vulnerable stories and sharing, and I can see a lot of similarities. There's differences too, but lots of similarities in his story, my story, and so through him sharing, I get to learn and grow as I see him, work through his own things or share things that he's learned in the past. and all that kind of thing. So anyway, I'll leave the link back down below in the description box. I would be so happy to introduce Psychology in Seattle to everyone. And yeah, they have a YouTube channel, so you can definitely, that's where I listen to all their episodes. Even though they're a podcast, I discovered them on YouTube, and I just listen to the audio episodes on YouTube. But as a patron as well, I get access to other videos or episodes there, and I love that as well. So I just want to show you, I also got this sticker, take care of yourself because you deserve it, their catchphrase, and I love that, and I want to put it on this page, but I'm just going to paperclip it on for now because I'm using it as a stand-in for one of the pages of my book, that I know I want that catchphrase there, and I have a big poster of that in my room and that I've taken a photo of, and that's what will go on that page. And I just want to show you the left-hand page that would go with that, the other page in my book, and it's called Commonplace Thoughts, and I actually sent a photo of that to Kirk to ask his permission if I would be allowed to, reference Psychology in Seattle podcast, because they feature quite a lot. Berto features in my book, Bob, Rebecca, their other co-hosts, and Kirk obviously features in it. As I mentioned, different things I've learned from them and different things that have helped me. And I just asked his permission, am I allowed to include their names and include the catchphrase in there? Am I allowed to, just talk about Psychology in Seattle in my book? And sent him the photos of those pages, and he said, yep, go for it. And I was like, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, because I've had such a big role in my life these last, few years, and so I definitely feature a lot in my book, so I am very excited for that. And I thought, as I go ahead and do this page spread, I would chat about that page, and hope that maybe it's encouraging and comforting and helpful. And yeah, I'll chat a bit about what I do on my page as well. And also I want to put in some footage. I took some footage of my gallery wall. I had a request to show that, so I will do an in-depth video just of my gallery wall. But my gallery wall, it has my favourite pieces from people, like significant people in my life who mean something to me or who have helped me on my journey. I like having a piece from them on my wall. So Sabrina Ward Harrison, she's an artist and author who I'm doing a bookmaking course with this year. That's how I'm doing my book. She wrote my name, so I have that on my wall. I love her handwriting. I've got a print from the Cottage Fairy with a black cat, so that reminds me of Keanu. I've got a print from Lani, an art therapist, who started my whole drawing journey. And if you know my book, The Art of Mental Health, with all my drawings, that was all inspired by Lani's art, because I wouldn't have been drawing without her. And so now I'm so excited to put that card with Kirk's handwritten note on my wall. So that card won't be going onto this page, even though I would love that. I am going to stick that on my gallery wall. And I did take a photo of it though, and I print out photos. Later on you'll see that and add those to my page. But I'm going to share that gallery wall with you right now. Apologies, the lighting isn't great, but it's a bit overcast today. But I love my gallery wall, all the meaningful things up there. And there's the quote from Psychology in Seattle. It is a sticker. I pretty much, my room is just covered with Psychology in Seattle stuff. I've got my 3 mugs. I've got this beautiful poster, which was such a great surprise when I received it in the mail. I was like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And here's just a look sort of at my other gallery wall on the right hand side where I have photos. There's a cat print from the Cottage Fairy, and that's just a little look at my desk while I'm filming this video. Anyway, so that is super exciting. I just can't thank them enough. Let me chat about this page called Commonplace Thoughts, and I might read some of it too. Commonplace thoughts, not too dark, not too scary. So the point of this page is that even though they're quite dark thoughts and maybe taboo thoughts that people don't usually share, these are just commonplace, and we can talk about them the way that we talk about the weather. Everyone has these thoughts sometimes, I think, some more than others. Oh, my cat wants to chime in, which is another quote by Psychology in Seattle. My sister, for my birthday one year, bought me a hoodie with their quote, "My cat wants to chime in." I love it. And I am going to be buying a whole wardrobe of Psychology in Seattle t-shirts. Ah, love it. I already had 2, but now I want more. Anyway, so the idea here being I'll read from this page. "My thoughts turn to how I don't belong and my unworthiness. I think of all my deficiencies and my no goodness. These thoughts come and go. They're okay." So this idea, sometimes when I share these thoughts with people, they're like, "Oh, don't think that way. No way. That's so untrue." It's like, and then you feel a bit, okay, let me have my thoughts. Like, I know they're not the most positive thoughts, but it's not wrong to just think, intrusive thoughts, they come and go, and we don't need to be shamed for the thoughts that pass through our brain. And let's just talk about them, because if they're there, no point denying them or pretending they're not there. We can talk about them and know, yep, often people have these thoughts, or sometimes people have these thoughts, and it's all okay. It's like, how do we deal with them? How do we not believe them? How do we not give them importance? How do we not focus on them? They can just float around there in the background, and they don't ever have to go away. That's what I used to try to do. When I had depression and anxiety back in 2015 and 16, I beat myself up and I fought with those thoughts, and I thought I had to get rid of them. I thought I was a bad person for having them. I thought I had to hide them. But then I realised, oh, they can be there. They can be there. They don't have to rule my life, though. That's when everything kind of changed. It took all that pressure off. I stopped fighting. It was like a burden off my shoulders, all that kind of thing. And now, you've heard me talk about it on my channel now. I'm okay with talking about these thoughts now. They're okay. They can be there. They're just commonplace thoughts. They're so mundane. They're not big and scary anymore to me. They are just the most boring, mundane thoughts. And now when they come, it's like, oh, there you are. Moving on in life. Next thing, which is another phrase that I got from Kirk, by the way. I start saying things, when I listen to people regularly, I start picking up their phrases. Anyway, and so then there's this thing called schema therapy, which is amazing. It's my second favourite deep dive of theirs after attachment theory. And defective schema is the schema that I have most, pretty much, where it's, I'll read from the page. It tells me something's wrong with me, that I'm a bad person, that I'm the most selfish, arrogant, proud person alive, that if people really knew me, they wouldn't like me and they'd leave me, and that I'm unlovable. So I've struggled with those thoughts ever since I was a kid, for pretty much as long as I can remember. And Bob, one of the co-hosts on the podcast, talks about how he has this schema as well. And that was like a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh my gosh, someone else has this. I'm not alone. I'm not weird. I'm not crazy. And he's a therapist, and so many people get helped by him. So many people, like his clients, of course, but so many listeners write in about how Bob has helped them. And that is, I love that. I love that. Just because we might have dark and scary thoughts, just because we have a defective schema, does not mean that we are unlovable. It does not mean that we are useless or unworthy. It does not mean that we can't bring good into the world. It does not mean that we can't help people. Those thoughts can be there, those feelings can be there, but we can still be a force of good, a force of light and love in the world. And Bob is like my example of that. It's like, if he can do that, so can I. And I encourage you, so can you. If you have those thoughts too, like I do, you are still so loved, and you are still so worthy. You are still someone who can bring so much good in the world, even with that, and maybe even especially because of that, because Bob, having that, he brings so much light into people's lives precisely because he has that defective schema, because he can speak to those people, he can bring comfort and encouragement to those people who have that as well. So don't discount yourself, and don't think, you're unworthy or no good or can't do anything good in the world because of these types of thoughts and feelings. They're obviously lies, but we don't have to, make those lies go away. Like for me anyway, if it doesn't work for you, that's cool. Find what works for you. It's all about what is helpful. What helps me is knowing they can be there, but I'm not going to believe them, and I'm not going to give them importance or focus on them. Of course, in my down moments, I can spiral, like anyone else. I can really hyper focus on them, and it can be really hard to not believe the thoughts and not to think they are everything. but I'm much better in my journey now of recognizing them when they're there and going, oh well, they're there, moving on, next thing, and changing my focus and knowing, yep, I might always have these thoughts for the rest of my life. They could be there, but I don't have to focus on them. I can focus on something else and just get on with my life. Oh, here are the note papers, by the way, of the words for the game. I kept them because I knew I'd want to include them on this page, and I almost forgot I had them, and I ran out of space on this page, but that's okay. I am going to cut them down and put them into this pocket, and I love that. The enamel pin came in that blue organza bag. Love it. Blue's my favourite colour. Oh, so perfect. Love it. All the logos and stuff and merch often is in blue, so I'm like, this is great. So I stuck it in that, and love how it made a little pocket there so I can keep the stickers too. Oh, so fun. Anyway, moving on. There's this book by Pema Chodron called When Things Break Apart, or When Things Fall Apart. And she says that she gets like 1,000 letters from people saying that they're the worst people in the world. I'm like, I'm one of those people. I think I'm the worst people. I think I'm one of the worst people in the world, and I think I'm the lowest of the low. And when you realise that so many other people think that, you realise, yeah, okay. I'm not the only one. I don't have the uniqueness dilemma, or whatever it's called. Can't remember what there's a word. We're not unique. We're not special with these thoughts. We're not the only one. We are so mundane and boring in this regard. And that, for me, is a good thing because it makes it lose its power. And then Bob talks about Butler syndrome. He says something like, I am only lovable if I am useful. And I'm like, yes, that rings true for me. I always feel like I need to be functional, and I always feel like I need to do good and be good. And if I am that, then that's where I get my worth. And I might always have that kind of default view in mind, but to know, that's obviously a lie. We're all amazing, even if we make mistakes, and even if we make a disaster of things, even if we let people down, that doesn't mean we're horrible. It might make us feel like we're horrible and no good, but just because we might make a mess of things in life or whatever and feel bad about ourselves, it doesn't mean we're no good. So I have learned to try to rein that back a bit. I still kind of fall into that trap of like, oh, I have to be useful. If I'm useful, then I'm lovable. But no. To know, even if I make a complete mess of everything, that I am still okay. And then I go on to this piece in the page, how can people love me with all my avoidant tendencies? I think I have avoidant attachment, if we're going with attachment theory. I tend to do the cold shoulder, the silent treatment, passive aggression. I tend to have high walls and locked doors. That mindset of, I have everything okay, I'm strong, I've got it all together, no one needs to help me because I'm fine, even when I'm like struggling, and I won't share my emotions, or when I'm struggling or when I'm in pain. I tend to just wall up and do it on my own. So yeah, I wrote this down on the page. I want to get healthier with this. Be more honest, be more vulnerable, more real, more courageous. And yeah, Psychology in Seattle has definitely helped me through the episodes to reach out when I'm struggling, to call my friend when I'm in tears, and to, talk about all this stuff. Anyway, and then the page ends with, got up this morning and there's a package, a tube. What on earth? It's a poster from Psychology in Seattle. Wow, what a gift. I hung it on my fairy lights above my desk, and you saw that footage before. Oh, and I do have this central piece on the page too that says, I think everyone is lovable, even with their flaws. Why do I foolishly think I am an exception? So maybe you can relate with some of those thoughts, and if you do, main message is you're not alone. You are totally not alone. I hope that some of those thoughts lose their power the way that they have with me. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this page spread. I just wrote about the anniversary show, how this year they split it over 2 days. For me in Australia, that meant from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. one day, and from 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. the next day. So I set my alarm, and I just love it. I can't wait for the next one. It's so good. And I have to mention my highlight this year for their show was Birdo's. Each hour he played a song on piano. I love piano so much. Oh my gosh, piano's my favorite instrument. And hearing him sing those songs was brilliant. I also really enjoyed the the game answers or words. This year they went through like the history and timeline of the podcast, and I always love hearing about behind the scenes and how it all took shape and all that kind of thing. And so each word was a key word from that year. So good, loved it. And I have to say, yeah, Psychology in Seattle, their podcast has been a big influence even on my channel, the way that I run it, how I even set up Patreon and YouTube membership for my channel. And yeah, they've been such a huge inspiration in so many ways in my life, in my journey, in my channel, in my creativity. So check them out. Thank you, Psychology in Seattle. I'm looking forward to another year. Big special thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in the month of November. If you would like to become a patron and get access to my journal making series videos and other videos and printables and every single digital kit from my Etsy, you can click the Patreon link down below in the description box to join that. If you would like to become a YouTube member where you get access to extra videos and member requested videos right here on YouTube, not over on my Patreon website, then there is a join button you can click below this video but above the description box. And if you're looking for some journaling inspiration or something to kickstart your journaling, I also have a whole bunch of journaling courses, including the Intentional Life course, and that I run all year long for anyone who would like to join. So the information is down below for that in the description box as well. And those are all different ways that you can support what I do here over on YouTube and with Willow Bound Journals.